Welcome to Satsang. Wonderful to be together. It's such a special time of year on the banks of Ganga right now with the cold weather, the winter season. There's such a power I find that's here this time of year. So I'm so happy that you're all here. So many people are like, oh my God, isn't it going to be cold in the Himalayas? So yeah, it's cold, but it's so powerful, so sacred. So welcome. And we start always with a question that comes in from our online family, and then open it to any questions that any of you may have. So there's a microphone in the center of the room. Just share your name, share where you're from, and share your question. But first we'll start with one that's come in advance. How to find inspiration, hope, and purpose after a series of traumatic, life-changing events. So the dilemma with the very premise of the question is an illusion that most of us live in, which is that a successful life, a purposeful life, is one in which everything that we want to happen happens according to the way we want it to happen, in which the universe behaves really very much like a vending machine. We put in our metaphoric money, we push the metaphoric button, and the metaphoric chocolate bar comes out. But the universe doesn't behave like that. In a vending machine situation, you may put in your money, push the button, chocolate doesn't come. Maybe if you're really craving chocolate, you'll put in more money, you'll try again, push the button again, still doesn't come. You're then going to determine that the machine must be broken. Either you ignore it, tell everybody like, hey, don't use that machine, it's broken. These are kind of the vocal atheists. Like, I tried the God thing, it doesn't work, I promise you, do something else. Or you may actually get very angry. People kick vending machines, people do all kinds of things to machines that don't give them what they want. But the universe is not a vending machine. There's nowhere that we were promised. Be a good person. Live a meaningful life. Be honest, be caring, be sharing, and what you want is going to happen. It was never promised to us like that. There's no contract basis with God. I'll pray, I'll meditate, I'll chant your name. And for God's sakes, just make sure that nobody I love should ever get sick or die. Make sure I should never get hurt. No one should ever leave me. Nothing should ever happen to me because I'm a good person. There's no agreement like that. God doesn't say that in any of the scriptures. What we know is that the spiritual path is not about safeguarding that which we want in the material world. It's about being anchored and grounded in the truth of who we are. And so the experiences that we get are invitations, really, to step into a different way of understanding, to step into a different way of being, to recognize an inner strength, an inner permanence, an eternalness to the self That's what we have these experiences for. So if you've had these traumatic life experiences, the goal is not to lose faith, to become one of those, screaming atheists of like, God didn't do what I want, not to get angry, not to kick the metaphoric God machine, but to ask yourself, what is it? What is it that I'm supposed to learn from this? Why is this particular situation more conducive for my expansion and awakening than other experiences? And so the best way to regain, what did she say? To regain specifically inspiration, hope, and purpose is to realize that inspiration, hope, and purpose were never meant to be contingent upon the outcome of what I do. I should be inspired to do my best, regardless of what happens. I should be inspired to love whether people love me back. I should be inspired to be sincere in what I do, to try my best to do it to the very best of my ability, whether it works or not. Because the results are not the point. All of the teachings on yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, so many in the Yoga Sutras remind us that it's not about the end. It's not about how low can you go. Does your nose finally touch your knees? Can your palms finally go flat on the ground? It's not about how much of a pretzel can you become. It's about how connected can you be? How anchored can you be? Yogaha karmasu koshalam. Yoga is excellence in action. Whatever you do, do it excellently because that is yoga. If you are a practitioner of yoga, well, the very practice of yoga is that which inspires us, compels us, instructs us. Whatever you do, do it excellently. You're washing dishes, don't leave spots. You're cooking food, cook it nicely. It may just be khichdi. It may be a bowl of soup. But do it nicely. Like, pay attention. Show up. Don't do it begrudgingly. You're doing data entry. Do it fully. Do it well. Pay attention. Don't be lazy. Don't make careless mistakes. Not because of the spreadsheet you're correcting or creating, but because of the yoga of you. Show up to what you're doing. You're sweeping the floor, sweep like Shabari, who swept because God was coming. She didn't know from which way, so she swept all the ways. Whatever you do it with that excellence, because that's what we're here for. So that inspiration, that hope, that purpose was never meant to be about outcome. It was meant to be about the quality of who we are in doing the action. Trauma, absolutely. It would be amazing to me if anyone managed to get through life without trauma. Many of us experience many types of trauma. The point is not to be scared off from life, as though you've, lost your last $10 in the vending machine, and so you swear off vending machines forever. But to realize, this isn't what I was promised. What I was given is an invitation to show up to life in all of its aspects and reflections and permutations. So that should be what we get our inspiration and purpose from, is in the showing upness to life. How can everything I do be done as yoga? Whatever it may be. excellence in everything, commitment in everything, dedication in everything, or don't do it. Because that becomes our spiritual practice, the living. One step in front of each other, all of what we're doing. That's where the inspiration should come from. Not that love someone, care for them, and then they're never going to leave you. Or put your heart into a project and you'll never get fired from your job. Because that just puts all of the control of how I feel in someone else's hands. And sometimes in the hands of something utterly theoretically random like the weather or a traffic pattern or things like that. And spirituality is all about holding the reins of our life in our hands. So find your purpose and your inspiration and your hope in your acceptance of the invitation that the universe has given us, in your stepping up into life, in your embrace of life, in your embrace of yoga, not in what the outcomes are going to be. Wonderful. Other questions? Any question that anyone has? Yes, please. ये माइक थोड़ा सा बीच में लाना भी और बीच
में. Namaste.
Namaste.
My name is Cristina. I would like to ask you because I'm from Spain and now I'm leaving Rishikesh and coming back.
Wonderful.
And I would like to know how to deal with the sense of lack of community in my city or country, or because it's like I have my family, my friends and everything. I'm not alone, and but there is no this sense of community or just what I live here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry? Oh, sure. So she asked, she's from Spain, and she asked how to deal with the lack of community. She said, I'm not alone. I have family, I have friends, but it's not a real spiritual community, and what to do about that. So community is an interesting one, because on the one hand, it's really important. In Sanskrit, the word is sangha. It's part of the word satsang. Satsang, what we're having here, is in the association of truth. We are gathering that we are quite literally being carried by the divine. The third most important association presence is nature. Trees, the earth, the creation, the birds, the insects, the very act of creation itself. One of the most core aspects of a very healthy and robust mental wellness, emotional, psychological wellness, physical wellness, immunity, and spiritual health is deep connection in nature, time in nature. It could be water, it could be trees, it could be mountains, it could be desert, it could be whatever it is wherever you live. You don't have to, move to some, beautiful deserted place so that you have 500 kilometers or 500 acres of nature around you. It can be a park, it can be the tree in your backyard. It can be, your aquarium and the fish. Whatever it is, but connection with the natural world. It could be sitting on your rooftop watching the stars in the night, watching the sun rise. But connection with nature. Then we get into connection with these other human beings. Family is beautiful and wonderful. They don't have to, and this is a core part about community. Community does not require that they all do what you do, believe as you believe, practice as you practice. It's certainly nice to do yoga together, to chant together, but it's not necessary. If you've got a community, a family, friends, who may not be yoga doers, they may not be meditators, they may not be kirtan singers, but there are people who love you, who support you, who honor you, who see you. They're not going to tell you not to do those things. They're not going to berate you. They're not going to put these things down. They're not going to dismiss them. They may just have other ways of living. That is actually okay. We don't have to feel like I actually need people who are practicing exactly the way I practice. So if you've got, as you say, I've got a family, I've got friends, as long as they're supportive and loving of you and able to be there with you in presence, they may experience it differently. You may experience it differently. But that's also a very important aspect of community. Lastly comes what you were speaking about specifically, which is this spiritual community, people on the same path or similar paths, practicing in similar ways, doing similar things. Well, in almost all of the world these days, there are absolutely people practicing spirituality. It may not look like what it looks like here, but that's okay. Because even people who are deeply spiritual in a different religion, for example, as long as they are connecting to the divine and you're sitting together and you're connecting to the divine, even though your experiences of the divine may seem different, it's still spiritual community. But I would say, look, because unless you live in a really, really, really small town, a really, really religiously conservative town, which you may, but unless you live there, if you live in any kind of a medium-sized city, almost anywhere in the world these days, you're going to find, and it may be through your local yoga studio, it may be through a local Hindu temple. I mean, there are now Indians in almost every part of the world. And typically where they go, they build temples. And where they build temples, they've got kirtan, and they've got pujas, and they've got meditation, and they've got yoga, and they've got so much going on. So again, maybe not. You may live in a much smaller town. But I would imagine that pretty much wherever you are in the world these days, this wasn't true 30 years ago when I first came, but I've watched it happen over the last couple of decades. I'll be in some of the most obscure places in the world these days. And there's heaps of Indians. I'm like, my God. And it's amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal. So when you go back, check it out. Is there a Hindu temple nearby? Because you'll find that familiar touch. Check out with local yoga studios. Very frequently, yoga studios will host kirtan. They'll host meditation. They'll host something else that feels to you like this. Because we have people coming here to Rishikesh from literally every corner of the world, which means they're going back to those corners after when they go. So they're now in those corners of the world with this beautiful touch. What I also would do is I would look online. A, for connections and community, but B, you never know that, 2 blocks from you is someone who was here last year. And you have no idea about that. But you could somehow, these days online connections is amazing. And I know they've got, like Facebook groups or these sorts of things of people. in Rishikesh, in other places, and people are connecting with people from all over. So you can also use the online world to find real people on the physical plane of existence. And otherwise, in a worst comes to worst situation, have that spiritual community online and have all of the rest of your connection in person. It's not the end of the world, by any means. But I do think that you're going to actually find real, tangible, 3D human beings where you live who can become part of your community. But you may just have to go in and look for them. Yeah, great. Other questions? Any other questions? Yes, of course.
This might sound silly.
No such thing.
So, in the Sanatan Dharma, here we have the Shankar Bhagavan, we have the Krishna Bhagavan, right? And many times people say focus on one God or say one mantra. So if I like all, even if I like Hanumanji as well, how do we focus on only one and how do we reconcile all these things? Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. So I wouldn't say by any means focus on only one. The issue is you want to be focused. And it's hard to focus if I'm chanting, 5 different mantras. The power of japa works in a repetition sort of way. So I want to choose one mantra. Now it may be that I do different mantras on different days. Absolutely possible. I do a Hanumanji mantra on Tuesdays. I do a Shankar Bhagwan mantra on Mondays. You can absolutely do that. The power of mantra, though, especially with regard to mantra japa, is much more powerful when it is just one mantra, because then what happens is it actually starts chanting itself within you. You chant it so much, so many times, over and over and over and over and over again in a deep meditative devotional state. And eventually you see, it's almost like that mantra just chants itself. So I'd say even as you love so many of the different divine manifestations, as far as mantra jap, choose one mantra. And then if you also want to add some, so you do a few rounds or a few malas of your mantra every day, and then, okay, so Tuesday you add some Hanuman Chalisas or Hanuman Japa, that's no problem at all. It's beautiful. Beautiful. But as far as praying, honoring, celebrating, seeing the divine in, ultimately the goal is to see the divine in all. So if you feel deeply touched by many different forms of the divine, do it. Absolutely. Do a different aspect of the divine's puja every day. Why not? Absolutely. It's beautiful. It connects you. But just make sure that your mind understands that it's not, I'm making Shankar Bhagawan happy today, I'm making Hanuman Bhagawan happy the next day, I'm making Ganesh Bhagawan happy the next day, like I've got all my ducks in a row. It's not that. It's not ki sabko kush karon tha ki, it's not that. If you connect so deeply with many different forms of the divine, allow that devotion to express itself to so many forms of the divine. I am a deep devotee of Hanumanji. I'm a deep devotee of Bhagavan Krishna. I'm a deep devotee of Ganga. I'm a deep devotee of my guru. And I have been known to burst into ecstatic sobs of spiritual oneness hugging trees. So there's an incredible spectrum of ways of being touched by the presence of the divine. So let it all touch you. Open your heart, open your devotion, do puja of it all, whatever touches you. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Just with the mantra jap, I would recommend one mantra because of that power of what happens as it starts to actually resonate in you. But then you can always add other mantras as well on special occasions. For example, I have a guru mantra, Pujya Swamiji gave it to me. I sit in Havan, I chant all the Havan mantras along with, the Rishi Kumars. We come to Arti, chant all the Arti mantras. Sit in some function, they're chanting mantras. I chant along with all of the ones I know. It's not like, oh wait, that's not my mantra, I'm not going to chant it. But as far as what you're actually doing on your japa, with that japa practice, try to stay with one mantra for that. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, you had a question.
Pranam. When something traumatic happens to us, there are two things which we keep hearing from anywhere. One is be confident in ourselves and keep trying. The other one is, like I learned today, that God might be trying to teach us something else, or might be making us to change our path. My first question is, how do I be sure about that I need to change the path, or I need to be confident about myself? Or the second question is, if I am to change the path, how to let go the fear of changing, how to leave the duties which are in combo with that previous path I'm already on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. The faith in the divine and the confidence in yourself do not mean don't change. It may be, oh God, let me have enough self-confidence, enough strength, enough faith in you that I actually do have the courage to change my path, that I do have the courage to take a turn, that I have the courage to see, oh, this way of doing things isn't working so well, or oh, this relationship isn't working so well, or oh, ye shayad mera bas ka nahi hai. Maybe this is a lesson I meant to do something else. But it also means, and then we'll come to how do you know, it also means to have that faith in the divine and confidence in the self of I can stay strong. Even in the face of rejection, defeat, failure, loss, I can stay my path no matter what kind of storm is coming. One of the beautiful teachings of the yajna, the havan that we do every day, is the flames of a fire only go up. Now, why does that matter? Because even if you dig the fire hole deep in the ground, even if it's a super stormy day, windy day, the flames are going like this, but nonetheless, at the end of the day, they rise higher. And the reason they do that is that the source of fire is the sun. So fire is always returning to its source. The source of water is the earth. So you take water to the top of the tallest building, it will come down. We can use words like gravity or density. But all those words are doing is using words to define a phenomenon that existed long before the words are there. So it's not like we say, oh, that's gravity, therefore it's not an important thing. We gave the word gravity to the phenomenon that had been happening for billions of years, long before an apple fell on Newton's head and he said, and we end up with gravity. So there are flows and pulls and things in the universe. But fire goes up, water goes down. Despite names and words that we use scientifically to explain it, the phenomena existed before science came in and defined it. But I tell you all of this for one important point, which is as we see the flames of the fire go up, it reminds us, oh yeah, our source is divinity. And therefore, no matter what storms arise in our life, no matter how deeply dug into a hole in the ground we feel, we also should only rise higher and higher, like those flames. So that confidence is not necessarily it's going to work out. It's not necessarily I have failed 10 times, but the 11th time is going to work. But it's regardless of where the storms are blowing me, I am headed in the direction of my source, my truth, my dharma. And nothing is going to pull me off that path. But as far as our human birth, karmic journey, career path, sometimes that self-confidence is to try something new, take a risk. There isn't an equation to know, unfortunately. I wish there were. That you could say, well, you just plug in this for A and this for B, and then the equation's going to tell you. Keep trying or change it. If something traumatic has happened, my instinct is that trauma usually doesn't arise as a teaching of change course. Trauma usually arises as a teaching of building inner strength, giving us tons of lessons to learn. The only time I can think of trauma causing us a sharp change of course would be, for example, if you were in a relationship and the person you were in a relationship with became very, very violent. And the trauma that you experienced was trauma due to a serious, severe, prolonged violence in a relationship. That trauma to me would be a signal that says, change course, take a turn, get out. But as far as like a life path or a career path, when something traumatic happens, it's not always there to tell us, oh, do something different. It's there because there's a strength inside of us to be built, a lesson, a deep, powerful lesson, some deep healing, some deep inner introspection, some deep work. Nothing unveils the inner workings of our own self to us, our own psyche to us, like trauma. But what it also teaches us is to keep identifying as the one who is aware, as the witness, as the witness, as the one who is aware, and to keep coming back to that, not in a spiritual bypass, not in a way of denial or repression, but in a very, very powerful lesson of, oh yeah, that happened. And I am not the one it happened to. I am the one aware that it happened. And I am the one aware of the emotional repercussions of it. I am the one aware of the anxiety, the fear, the sadness, that whatever the ramifications are, I am the witness of those as well. So trauma arises for a lot of different karmic reasons, but it's definitely not always an indication of change your path. Yeah, wonderful. Have a beautiful rest of your evenings, everyone. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us online. And so much love to you all. I look so forward to being together with all of you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Pujya Sadhviji, for your beautiful wisdom tonight. We'd love for you to all stay connected. Every night we live stream Satsang on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. You can find it by searching at Sadhviji, and you can also ask your questions online by messaging us. And we have paper at the back where you can write your questions down and Sadhviji will answer in a coming Satsang. We also have cards at the back with all the contact information on them, the email address. So